2 days, Brock Purdy is going to have his surgery. This is going to be big, big news. And it's going to determine, I think, a lot of the decisions the Niners make this offseason. But before we get there, I want to point out that the Niners need to be realistic here. They came out and they've already said they expect him to be ready for training camp. Don't talk about expectations. That's a hope. That's just a hope based on a surgery that hasn't even happened yet. The surgery happened in 2 days. Then they will know much more what kind of surgery ended up being required, what kind of recovery is expected. But still, whatever happens in the future is a hope and not a certainty. When he'll come back, what he'll be when he comes back. Don't talk about, well, he'll be back on this date and he'll be 100% recovered. Every person's different. Everyone recovers at a different rate, and not everyone makes a full recovery. Maybe some guys come back a little bit diminished. Maybe some guys come back a little bit better. You don't know. So I just want to put that as a general caution before this news breaks. Like, we're going to learn. This is a mystery, and the Niners probably be smart to just downplay expectations and just say, you know what, he'll be ready when he's ready. That's what I would say. How do you see this unfold in this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, what happens on Wednesday is going to determine what direction the 49ers go with, in my opinion, at quarterback. If you have Brock Purdy coming back 5-6 months, then you don't really need to worry about having a good backup quarterback. You could settle for a decent third stringer and then draft a guy. But if Brock Purdy is going to be out, if he ends up having the Tommy Johns and he's going to be out for 12 to 18 months, which is probably worst case scenario, that changes everything, because now you got Trey Lance and who? So you need to go a little higher in that free agent market and find yourself a quarterback that can play at a high level and that can win you some ball games. So Wednesday is going to be a big, big deal for the 49ers and the offseason. It's going to determine a lot of things. If Brock Purdy ends up having that temporary surgery that brings him back in 5 to 6 months, 49ers are good, probably just rolling with Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. They can find a low-level free agent quarterback. If it ends up being a big deal, 12 to 18 months, they're going to have to go a little higher and shell out a little bit more money and find themselves a good winning backup quarterback.
What I just want to caution the Niners with is whatever happens, whatever the diagnosis is, whatever the surgery is, whatever the initial recovery timeline is, the Niners shouldn't broadcast that so loudly. You don't know, and it's frankly none of our business. It's Brock Purdy's future and his elbow. They should say, look, we're going to be cautious with Brock. We hope, use the word hope, not he will, we expect. We hope he'll be back for week 1 or training camp, but we're going to take it slow and be cautious, and he'll be ready when he's ready. Remember when Harbaugh was the coach and people would ask questions about what's up with so-and-so's injury once he's coming back? What would Harbaugh say?
I'm not in his body.
Every time, which is a fair answer, man. I don't know. And it's not fair for me to come up here and say, he'll be back on this date. Like, how does he feel about that? How does his agent feel about that? How do I know? I'm not a doctor. And again, it's been Kyle and John publicly saying he'll be ready for training camp. You guys aren't doctors. And your doctors have a questionable history of predicting when players are going to be fully ready and recovered from these injuries. So I think I'd like to sort of wait to hear what other doctors have to say and just express caution and just really hedge your bets here. Sure, if Brock Purdy's ready week 1, that's best case scenario, and he can pick up from where he left off last year, then the offense is in a good spot with him and Trey Lance. But what happens if that's not the case? Because you won't know. You won't know really what you have with Brock until August.
Yeah.
And by then, the quarterback market is done. Then if you need a quarterback, it's like going back to calling Josh Johnson. So you got to prepare for every outcome here, and it's now.
Yeah, and a healthy Brock Purdy after this surgery, what does that mean?
Exactly. You have no idea.
You have no idea. It could be the same, better. It's possible it's a worse Brock Purdy than it was last year from an arm strength standpoint. So it's definitely sketch. Niners need to, again, focus on quarterback position, which is what wins you Super Bowls. So we'll see what happens.
What's funny to me is the Niners at their postseason season wrapping press conference, John and Kyle, when asked about the quarterback position, they're like, basically, Jimmy's out and they're good. 2 starting quarterbacks, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy. Man, that's one way to look at it. And it's an optimistic way to look at it. And that could be the case, but you don't know that, man. Yeah. You don't freaking know that. You got one guy with 4 starts, one guy with 8, one guy. I mean, Trey Lance has gotten hurt a lot of times. Brock Purdy's gotten hurt twice. You don't know. You don't know what they're going to do when they come back. You don't know what they were in the first place. So this is a team that hasn't had a Pro Bowl quarterback since Jeff Garcia. I'm going to keep saying that. Keep plugging away. Kyle Shanahan can't keep quarterbacks healthy. You guys haven't evaluated the position that great. You've passed on a bunch of guys. Keep bringing in guys. And don't just be like, Brock's going to be good. Brock's our guy. You don't know that.
They don't
You
know.
don't know that.
Even if this injury never happened with Brock Purdy, you don't know that he's your
You don't know that
quarterback yet. You don't know if Trey Lance is either. You don't. The 49ers have maybe bigger questions at the quarterback position this season, honestly, than they have all offseason. I'm not a big Jimmy Garoppolo fan, but having Jimmy, at least you knew what you had because he's played for you a lot of years. And I'm not saying bring back Jimmy. I don't want Jimmy. I'm ready to move on. But I feel like the quarterback position, having Trey Lance coming off an ankle surgery, Brock Purdy coming off an elbow surgery, it's the most unknown the 49ers have been at quarterback since Kyle's been here, with the exception of 2017.